Are you ready to branch out, to take a leap of faith, to love yourself and others fully? Then let go of whatever no longer serves you to take action now on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Erica will energize and excite you to power up your passionate dream that sets your soul on fire. With Erica's E3 approach, equipping, empowering, and enlightening yourself so you can be yourself for yourself. Get ready and get rooted to live a life without regrets, without what ifs, without should haves, and especially without empty feelings from a life unexplored. This hit show helps you build powerful and intentional roots to live it up, love it up, and let it go. Get fearlessly ready and powerfully rooted in your yes with your host, Erica Gifford Mills, and be fearless about your more and stand in your yes. Now on Get Rooted Radio.
Welcome, everyone, and Happy New Year. I am Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go, right here on Transformation Talk Radio. A big shout out to our producer today, Jessica. Jessica, Happy New Year. How are you doing?
Hi, Happy New Year to you too. I'm happy about the new year.
I know. I cannot believe, I don't know where 2022 went, and for that matter, I don't know where 2021 went. But I am ready for 2023 and am very excited about it. Did you enjoy your holidays?
I did. Well, I mean, my parents brought a cold with them, and so then I got that, and then I recovered from that, and I just was like, but talking about gratitude, I was like, all right, this is going, I'm flipping this to the positive. This is my clearing out of whatever junk I needed out of my life for 2022. And now the only difficult thing about 2023 is remembering to write that as the year on checks.
Yes, I know. I was typing something and I went, 2023. This is great. Well, with the new year comes new goals and a time for change and refreshing. And we talked about goals last time. So, I'm going to put you on the spot. Are you starting those new goals that we talked about last episode?
So step one was having the conversation with the husband to make him aware of the goals. And so that conversation has happened and he is all in.
Awesome. So if you want to listen to the last episode that we did, Jessica and I went through our balance wheel and set some goals. So if you missed that episode, look it up. It's in the archives. You'll definitely want to catch that. It was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate you, Jessica, putting herself out there and sharing goals with all you listeners. But this is a time of year for not only a refresh, but it's a chance to really consciously do something different in the coming year. And one way to do that is by learning, showing, and practicing gratitude, which is what we will be discussing during this episode. So the question is, what is gratitude? Jessica, I'll ask you, what does gratitude or gratefulness mean to you?
It means really being in, no matter what the situation, having joy and literal gratitude for being thankful for where you are in that time and space and what you have. And not being in the form of lack and without and I'll be happy when, right?
Yes. And I love that. It's because I think a lot of us, and I'll even make it an I statement, I do it, is that once this is done, once I've achieved this, or once this falls into place, I can be happy, or I will relax, or I will do something, as opposed to really being in that present moment. And to me, sometimes mindfulness and gratitude and gratefulness go hand in hand. And if you pop the word gratitude into Google, it states the definition as the quality of being thankful, the readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. And I think that is so important because it's a state of being, right? To me, it's an action word. It's not just gratitude or grateful. It's an act. And I think Robert Emmons, he's probably the world's leading scientific expert on gratitude, argues that gratitude has two key components. First, it's an affirmation of goodness. We affirm that there are good things in the world, gifts and benefits that we've received. And the second is that we recognize that the sources of this goodness are outside of ourselves. We acknowledge that other people gave us many gifts, big and small, to help us achieve the goodness in our lives. And I bring that up because everything needs to start from within, right? Happiness, your goals, your wants, your needs, your desires. However, it goes back and forth. What we give out, we put back in, and like your vibe attracts your tribe. And I think sometimes we have to overcome certain things in order for gratitude to flourish. And it can be cultural, it can be individual. And I know I've let that stand in my own way. But I would ask you, Jessica, for you, what gets in the way of gratitude?
Oh, that's a tough one. Being too caught up in like my own frustrations of probably what's not going right or what I don't have. I just completely focus on the wrong end of things. And then it's like you can't be in both, right?
Right, right. And it's things like envy, the materialism, the narcissism, the cynicism, right? All the isms.
Yeah.
Those can be the thought as the thieves of thankfulness, right? We tend to get caught up on, I was going to have a good day, but now it's raining. I was going to have a good day, but I overslept. I was going to have a good day, but I stubbed my toe on the way to the bathroom, and then my roommate used all the hot water, right? Whatever that might be, we find excuses. Those things that happen around us steal that thankfulness and gratefulness away, because I think sometimes we overthink it. And I think we need to stop thinking. I think, right? I think, but we overthink what we need to do. So then rather than looking for it, we sometimes have to come upon it maybe silently. Ask questions like, who am I? Right? The age old questions. But at this moment, right now, am I aware of myself? And how does my higher self want to do? What does my higher self want to do? And that is when we really start being real with ourselves and asking, what is gratitude? What am I grateful for? Sometimes I like to equate it to breathing. Do you have to stop and think about it before you take your next breath? And we don't. Unless, recently, like me, when I attempted scuba diving and I needed to breathe through my mouth and not my nose, I was having a real problem overthinking. And it's the little things like that we start not knowing what to do. So if we think about the experience of breathing happens naturally without force, it's really a natural state of being. And this is where I think we can talk about and relate and equate gratitude towards, is that how do we do it without forcing it? Because if we start forcing, just like many things in life, if we start forcing it, it's going to be harder to do. It's going to feel like a chore. And if it feels like a chore, or it's not something we truly want to do, we aren't going to do it well. We're going to get resentful. We're going to feel like we couldn't say no. And for that, I think that's when we start having those issues. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the phone lines for folks. And so I really want to encourage you to dial into the show today and give us your thoughts and ideas about what gratitude is for you, how you show gratitude, how you can practice gratitude, and maybe even as we go through the episode later on, what are some of the benefits that you've experienced from gratitude? So if you're interested, call in now at 1-800-930-2819. That's 1-800-930-2819. And remember, gratitude encourages us not only to appreciate gifts, but to repay them or pay it forward. But before we get into that, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the little things to be grateful for. You are listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any portion of today's episode or want to catch a replay of a previous episode, go to getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com. Don't forget to subscribe online to receive the latest news, events, words of encouragement, and specials. Go to getrootedradio.com. So during the first segment, we were discussing what gratitude is and how we can kind of make it flourish, how we can forget about our envy, our ego, and walk away with a grateful heart. And really, gratitude is that thankful appreciation for what an individual receives, whether it's tangible or intangible. With gratitude, people are allowed to acknowledge the goodness in their lives. And most things in our lives have the ability to improve when we are grateful. There's research that has shown that gratitude can enhance our moods, decrease stress, and drastically improve our overall level of health and well-being. And we'll get into some of those benefits of gratitude in our final segment. But on average, grateful people tend to have fewer stress-related illnesses and experience less depression, lower blood pressure, and really are more satisfied with their lives. But sometimes it is really hard to be grateful when things are not going well or we are suffering. And that's when we should take really a look for those little things to be grateful for. So before I get into that list of what we can look at, don't forget, if you are wanting to dial in, please give us a call. Let us know your thoughts on gratitude and what little things you're grateful for at 1-800-930-2819. That's 1-800-930-2819. So some little things to look for, and some of these might seem obvious and some of them might be a little bit not as obvious, but when we're going through a hard time, we might suffer pain, but that pain can ultimately make us stronger. So that is something we should be grateful for, is taking those obstacles and making them stepping stones to something greater. So along those same lines, I'd say aspirations that we weren't able to accomplish, but they taught us a lot about ourselves in the process. So just because we attempted to go after a goal and maybe we failed at our first attempt, or we ran into something that made us take a little bit longer, if we take a look at that as an opportunity, and what did we learn about ourselves, about the wrong way to do something or a better way to do it. So again, that pain and that maybe failure can help us. Those struggles that help us grow, those things can be looked on as opportunities, as benefits, as something to be grateful for, because it does help us become a better, stronger person. And I would say along those same lines, triumphs that we were almost able to achieve, because it gave us a sense of resilience. It gave us a sense of accomplishment. Even if we didn't make it all the way there, we at least tried. And that's the one thing I tell a lot of my clients, is that even if you don't succeed the first time or the second time or the 50th time, you had the courage to do something new, to go after something you wanted, where most people won't even take that step because they're too afraid. So understanding that those things you should be grateful for, because you've learned a lot of things. It's made us more resilient. It made us more be able to pivot, more consistency in our life. And those are the big things that we need to remember on along the lines of the little things. People who remained in our lives despite seeing us at our lowest point. I am so grateful for that. If it wasn't for my siblings and my nieces and nephews and my close friends who are like family, who have seen me at my lowest point, at my best point, because it's really easy to have friends and family who stick around when you are at the top of your game, when you are doing well, when you are really in it to win it. But when you've hit rock bottom, and if you've been in a really low moment in your life and those people are still around, that is something to be so grateful for. So remembering to go out there and tell them thank you. Being grateful for so many things, recognition, encouragement, because you don't always see the signs of encouragement or the signs of recognition, because you're expecting perhaps a loud band coming up and of a big banner saying, woohoo, look at what you did. But it's those little things that people might do to say, wow, I'm proud of you, or you're amazing. Those things are areas where people are reaching out and they're saying, you've got this. Be thankful and grateful for those times and acts, because not everybody has that. I would say also the simple joys that never fail to make us smile. So that could be a sunrise, a sunset, a beautiful snowfall where there's no feet marks, right? There's no footprints in the snow. I had one coming back from lunch with my son today. I think a gentleman was on a first date, and he got into his car and he was kind of all excited and a big smile on his face. And that made me smile so big because you saw this pure joy on this person's face. So it's those little things that might catch us off guard, but they have a big impact. Some other items would be maybe news about random acts of kindness that you see on the news, on the radio, through social media, people paying it forward, people reaching out and helping one another that we can be grateful for. Any of those new opportunities that knock on our door, the unique people that maybe we see in our lives, or a new friend that you meet, any of those things, that's like excitement and hope for the good that is to come. And I think those little things, again, they're little, but they're not, because they make a big impact in our life. There's a commercial, and I don't know, Jessica, if you've seen it. It's a liquor commercial, which is what surprised me about it. I think it was Crown Royal, and this is why I remember it, because it's a person doing little things to help somebody as he's walking down the street, and then the other person turns around and does something for somebody else.
Yes.
It's that, yeah, and I love it, and I laugh because it's a Crown Royal commercial, but I think it's hilarious because, and I don't want to say hilarious, but I think it's a really great commercial because we forget, if you smile at somebody, if you open the door for somebody, you do these little things that show people there's hope in the world. With all the stuff that's going on in the world, whether it's, the pandemic, whether it's wars, whether it's hardships, there is something nice and something to always be grateful for in the world.
It's so true. And I'll tell you, and this is like not going to become like a testimonial for these people, but they're doing a whole campaign around it, and they made a big deal about it in the Country Music Awards too, is just what they're trying to do to pay it forward and like be a part of the community. And I agree with you. It makes me grateful when I see like mainstream companies, let's say, with campaigns that are promoting gratitude, pay it forward, like be nice to your neighbor. It's like, wow, like that's amazing. And it's silly that we need those reminders, but then it makes you really aware of like, oh yeah, okay, these people are saying it, let's do it.
Yeah, there was an older woman came in where we were eating, and I saw this young man stand up and say, "Oh, you can sit here." And I was like, oh, boy was like 10. And I'm like, good for you, Mom and Dad, for teaching this, because this older woman was like, oh, well, that she was so, I think, surprised that somebody was showing her that level of generosity, even though to me, that was just good manners, good upbringing, that you would do that because you are giving up your seat because you're capable. But he didn't think anything of it. The woman was so grateful for that to be done. And I could tell, like, her mood was lightened. I mean, she kind of had her shoulders back, her head was up a little bit more, and she was smiling. And I think that those little things make a big difference in the world when there's not sometimes a lot brightness out there.
That's so true. It's so true. And I try to hang on to those moments for myself. Like when you were talking about trying to find things to be grateful for, I try to go back to those moments. What are the little thing that just gave me that little tingle of a smile throughout a day that sometimes you just brush over, and just be able to hang on to that for a second?
And it is, I mean, because as I said there are always something to be grateful for. I mean, you could be waking up and you could feel miserable, but you have a roof over your head. Some people don't. Or that, and I think I've seen like little memes out there, you have a job, some people don't. That job you might hate, you have it, somebody else doesn't. They might be, really taking everything they have to try to find a job, and you might not like it, but at least you have one. And I think those little things, not to make you feel bad for disliking a job or anything like that, but we can always find gratitude if we just stop overthinking it. One of the things that I challenged some family and friends to this year is every week, at the end of the week, write something down on a piece of paper that was good, that made you smile, that brought you joy, and write it down on a piece of paper, put it in the jar. And at the end of the year, on New Year's Eve, whenever you decide, open up that jar and read all the good things that happened over that year, because sometimes it's like a negative review. Those negative reviews go away because some people will go out of their way to say this is what something bad that's happened, but they don't always report the good. And if we can look back at our year and say, wow, I had a great year, I think it will change our perspective a lot. So I'm challenging you listeners, if you want to do that, just get an empty jar, and every week, at the end of the week, write 1, 2, 3, however many things that happened to you that week that you saw, that you liked, that you enjoyed, and put it on a piece of paper. And then at the end of the year, you can go back and revisit everything that happened to you that brought you great joy and remind you of how grateful you are. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to discuss how to express gratitude, because now we know what gratitude is. We know some of the little things we can look for, but how do we more easily express it? So listeners, and here's your chance to share. I really want to hear from you. Share your thoughts by calling in now at 1-800-930-2819 and share with us your thoughts on gratitude. I'm Erica Gifford Mills, and you are listening to Get Rooted Radio, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We're back on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Don't forget to visit getrootedradio.com to listen to a replay of this episode, sign up for helpful tips, tricks, and learn about upcoming events. That's getrootedradio.com. So during the last 2 segments, we've been talking about what gratitude is and what are some little things we can be grateful for when we are not sure where to start. Before we get into discussing how we can express or show gratitude, we have a caller. We have Harriet from Wisconsin. Harriet, are you there?
I am here. Hi, Erica.
Hi there. Thanks so much for calling in, and Happy New Year.
Well, Happy New Year to you too.
So what are your thoughts on gratitude? What does gratitude mean to you, or how do you think we can show and express gratitude more often?
Well, I think one of the biggest things for gratitude is just remembering all the little things that you have that so often we take for granted. I mean, we all know that we're alive, we're breathing. Most of us are very fortunate to have a warm place to live, to sleep, friends, family, and food. But just because we have that doesn't mean that we should not show the appreciation and gratitude and let other people know how much we appreciate it. Again, it's the small things. Saying thank you sometimes just isn't enough. Writing a thank you note or bringing a small token of appreciation, nothing big. You're going to somebody's house. You can bring something to drink, something to eat, flowers, just anything just to show that appreciation. And maybe not every single time, but it seems like it might be a dying art, the showing of the gratitude, which is kind of disappointing. I know for me, sometimes I don't show as much gratitude towards people who never seem to appreciate it. Just, hey, thanks a lot. It meant so much for you to come to my house, to help me out, to watch my kids, whatever it is. Say the words. Don't just, oh, sure. Don't slough it off, I guess. Use your words to show that appreciation. Use that excitement in your voice, the big smile, everything that you have to show the people, because someday they may be helping you out, and you want to make sure you're showing that back to them as well.
And I think that's a great point, because sometimes we think that, well, they know I appreciate it, but it's the words, it's the actions. And when they know they're appreciated, it goes a long ways. Most people aren't saying yes to helping you or doing something to get something in return. But when they see how much it makes somebody happy or feel loved, it does go a long way.
Oh yeah, I'm always more willing to. I mean, I like to help people out. That's just part of who I am. I like to help. I like to be thought of as that person that people can count on. But when I get that big smile or a hug, or it's like, oh my gosh, you have no idea how much I appreciate it, it kind of makes me happy. All those positive things that are coming back to you make you happier, make you want to do more, make you want to remember those little things. And it's just as important to me to get that gratitude as it is to give it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for calling in, Harriet, and I hope you have a wonderful new year full of joy, love, and gratitude.
Well, thank you so much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. And Jessica, you said we have another caller as well.
Yes,
and I
we
believe
do. We have Andrea from Wisconsin. Andrea, you're on with Erica.
Hello, Andrea. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So we're talking about gratitude today. I'd love to hear your thoughts on, what gratitude means to you, how you show gratitude or express gratitude, and why it's so important going into this new year.
Okay. So it's good timing because I actually got today delivered from Amazon my new gratitude journal. So my plan was to take some time every day and find some small things that I'm grateful for. And I think this will help keep it intentional. So I don't know. I just think it's stopping gratitude for me. It's just seeing like the small things that we take for granted every day that you just assume are going to be there. You don't really think about it, but just taking like a moment and just pausing and kind of like picking those small things out and taking in a moment to appreciate them.
And that is it's the appreciation. I feel like gratitude and appreciation go hand in hand because there are so many wonderful things that happen to us on a daily basis. And unless they're like, I think I said earlier, like a marching band or a big banner, sometimes we overlook them. And if we can take the time to appreciate those little things and write them down, and I love the journaling aspect because that is something that I have in my notes on ways to celebrate and show gratitude and make it intentional. It comes along much easier as we go.
I agree. It's like making a practice. I don't know about you, but I found like in the past, I'll find, gratitude in the small things and I'll focus on it and it kind of becomes a habit. And you start seeing everything around you differently and overall happier. But then somehow that falls off. And then you find yourself, or I do, weeks later, and you kind of like lost that. So I just thought having something to intentionally have to put it down every single day, it's got to become a good habit.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where we can stop overthinking in that, because then once it becomes a habit, it's natural, like the breathing.
Yes.
Well,
I agree.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for calling in. I hope you have a wonderful new year coming up and there's lots of joy and gratitude as you enter this new year.
Thank you for having me and same right back at you.
All right. All right. So we think we have another caller out there. Jessica, we have Shelly from Wisconsin as well.
Yes, we do. All right. We have Shelly. You are on with Erica. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. Happy New
Hi.
Year, Shelly. So thank you so much for calling in. We are talking gratitude. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on gratitude and how you express and accept and what gratitude means to you.
Well, after have been sick this last year, I have found that I am most grateful for the little things that we don't think of and the chance to, like restart, refocus, and re-energize. And just all the people that help you along the way, even just the person in the grocery store that smiles at you, just helping you up your game a little just by a nice smile. So I just think being kind and grateful for all that you have, not what you don't have, and your health. I had a time where I couldn't hardly breathe or walk, and now I'm just grateful I wake up every day. So, and I try to return that favor to others just by a smile, how are you doing today? It's great seeing you. Anything can lift a person's day. You know what they say, that saying of you don't know what someone's been through or going through, so sometimes that's all it takes.
No, and I completely agree, because we don't know what other people are going through. And sometimes we have that comparison or one-upping of folks. And I think when we practice gratitude and have an open and grateful heart, that kind of stuff goes away. And when we can just be kind and be grateful for somebody opening the door and saying thank you, or being grateful that we have food on the table, that we have air in our lungs, it goes a long way. And I think the world, it is maybe a little oversimplified as this might sound, the world would be just a better place if we all are a little bit more grateful, show a little bit more gratitude, and are a little bit more kind.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's been said over and over about being kind to others, but boy, what a difference it makes. Look at when the sun shines, how much happier people are. A bit of kindness does the same thing.
Absolutely. We all need to be a little bit more rays of sunshine. Well,
Yeah.
Shelley, thank you so much.
And like I said, it's the little things. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad for you to call in, and I appreciate you. And I'm grateful for all you listeners who have been dialing in and giving me your thoughts. If you still want to dial in, we have a little bit of time left this afternoon, but we're going to continue on with this segment on some ways to celebrate and show gratitude. And as you heard from some of our call-ins, some of our listeners, my tips in some ways to celebrate are just what they said. Starting a gratitude journal, write about someone or something that you're thankful for every day, because as you'll find that your appreciation for those around you grows deeper and fonder the longer you keep it. And when you read back what you've written, you'll be able to reflect on the relationships and where those relationships have gone. So I believe Andrea had said she just got herself a new gratitude journal, and that would be, if you go buy yourself some pretty little journal, or make your own and start writing what you're grateful in. Share your gratitude with others. If you received an invitation to go someplace, you received a gift, you received somebody lifted your spirits, share that. Let them know that you're grateful for their care, their service, their friendships that have lifted your spirits or lifted a burden. Either write them a letter, send them an email, even a text message, just making sure that you need, that you are reciprocating their thanks, and practice that active listening. Or I like to do, I used to, when I was in the office more, I used to leave sticky notes on colleagues' desks or computers saying, I hope you have a great day. I never signed my name, or I think, your support and kindness is appreciated. Those little things, when you come and you see those notes, you can't help but smile. Those are the little things that we can do. We can leave your waiter or food delivery driver a bigger tip than maybe you normally would. We are wanting to be more patient because, as I think it was Shelley who said, we don't know what other people are going through. So if we need to maybe be a little bit more patient when we're feeling rushed, or when other people may be rushed, maybe we want to offer to run an errand for someone that seems overwhelmed. Maybe invite someone to tag along to a workout class or a event, or an activity, because maybe that's the only invitation they received all week or all month. Cook a meal for someone, or delivered some baked goods. Give compliments to somebody. I love when I see something I like about somebody else. I like their sweater, a shirt looks nice on them. I will tell random strangers, that's a beautiful sweater. That color looks great on you, because that makes people smile. Or simply sharing a smile with someone. And again, these might seem like a bit of oversimplified or maybe a little naive, but I truly believe if we were more people practiced patience and daily gratitude and kindness, we could change ourselves and the world for the better. Everyone could be much happier because love would grow and hate would decrease. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to wrap up the show by talking about the benefits of gratitude. If you want to call in, we have a little bit more time for any listeners who would like to call in. That's 1-800-930-2819. You're listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. If you missed any of the information during the last segments, go to getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com to listen to the replay. Don't forget to subscribe online, sign up for tips and special events and pricing for upcoming coaching sessions at getrootedradio.com. So during the last segments, we defined gratitude. We provided examples of the little things to be grateful for and discussed how we could better express gratitude. And we had some amazing callers give us their opinions on what gratitude is to them, what it means and what it feels like, how they express gratitude. And I'd like to hear your thoughts, Jessica. What are your thoughts and how do you express or show gratitude?
So this actually comes from what is that thing called? The personality test, the love,
yep.
The thingamajiggers. Yeah. So I'm an acts of service person. So and it goes both ways, but I show gratitude for people by doing something for them.
Yes.
Usually is my go-to, whatever that means. And I don't, like my neighbor, he's been blowing the leaves in our yard because I think he sees how busy we are. And so just out of the kindness of his heart, he blows the leaves and he's coming weed whack the front of my yard. And so I put together a gift basket for him and I don't even know him that well. So I was I'm just put all these random things in here because hopefully he can eat it, some gluten, some gluten-free, some sugar, some healthy, some all the things just to say thank you because he's been doing that for me. And so I like to do things like that.
And I think that is, and it's whole different episode, but I think understanding kind of your quote unquote love language is important in relationships, or just like it's important to understand the DISC, D-I-S-C, because different people, even in your working environment, is different people appreciate things and will be motivated by different things. And knowing to understand where do you fall in on the chart helps to better be able to show your gratitude, because somebody just getting more money or getting an attaboy, right, that might not do it for them. So being able to understand how you are motivated, but how others are motivated will make you a better leader, a better colleague. And I could do a whole show on that. And perhaps that was what I'll do next this coming year. But it is, gratitude is so important for so many reasons. And that's what we're going to talk about during this last segments are what are the benefits of gratitude? And just like any wellness trend, and I don't want to say that gratitude is a trend, but any sort of new thing that comes about, or just like mindfulness or a new exercise technique, hearing somebody say, if you just practice gratitude, you'll be happy and healthy. People are probably eye rolling listening to this, right? But it sounds really privileged, but it's more than that. Gratitude can be a lot smaller than you think, but have a large impact. So that's what we want to kind of get into. So gratitude is about grounding yourself and focusing on the good. The good can really be anything that makes you happy, finds you joy, anything like that. From the cup of coffee you had this morning to the people in your life, to maybe the glass of wine you have at night. So from coffee to wine and everything in between. Gratitude, you can find gratitude in any of those. And practicing gratitude is not lecturing yourself and saying you should be more grateful. Other people have it worse. It's not that. Instead, it's about spending time to focus on the good, however large or small that may be. And by regularly taking some time to do that, you can develop those habits and really even rewire your brain. And I think one of our listeners said that, Andrea, she said, if you start doing it every day, eventually it's going to become a habit, and then it's going to become second nature. And that's what we're talking about here. We want to learn to make it a regular habit, to think and live a little bit more positively. That's going to benefit us in so many ways. So here are some of my favorite benefits of gratitude. And the first is better sleep. The thing we all need, that more sleep, and not even more sleep, quality sleep. People who practice gratitude before bed have proven to sleep better. And it makes sense. We all know that spiral of negativity that keeps so many of us awake. Did I remember to send that email? Did I turn off the lights? Do I have all the laundry done for tomorrow? Or, my favorite is, what did I say during that conversation? Did that make sense? Did I just offend somebody? All those things that go through your head. But by practicing some regular gratitude, you're more likely to be able to focus on positive thoughts at the bedtime and avoid that negative self-talk that keeps us awake. The next is higher self-esteem. We really live in a society of judgment, competition, and sometimes those unreachable standards that tries to crush our self-esteem. And that results in negative and unhealthy relationships with our bodies, ourselves, our minds. But if we practice gratitude in a regular way, right, it's really a great way to combat that negative self-talk and feel that feeling of less, right, of not enough. So rather than compare ourselves to others, whether that's physically, emotionally, financially, career, any of that, gratitude really helps us center ourselves and focus on the positive, which improves our overall outlook on lives and ourselves. And we all could use more of that positivity. And then the last three are kind of combined. They improve our mental health, our physical health, and helps us get through trauma. And so it seems obvious, right? Our mental health. By really routinely practicing gratitude, you rewire your brain to think more positively. And gratitude literally makes you produce the happy hormones and the dopamine, which reminds me of Legally Blonde, where, happy people just don't kill. And it's true. Those happy hormones, such as dopamine or serotonin, you have that physical exercise that by regularly practicing gratitude, you can literally strengthen those neural pathways, resulting in better and long-lasting production of positive feelings. And I'm not saying or suggesting that it's going to cure your depression or anxiety. However, if we take our mental health into consideration and we take time to focus on the positive, which is what gratitude does, we are then slowly improving our mental health. And then as for our physical health, typically grateful people are more likely to make healthier choices, like exercising, eating more properly. You're having increased sleep, which we've talked about earlier, which can lead to better motivation in the mornings and the evenings to get up and do those exercises. It also has benefits of lowering inflammation and really having those fewer aches and pains. So that mental and physical health, they're very interconnected. And if we can practice gratitude that will impact that will give us our whole new movement, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And then the last is that trauma aspect. As simple as it may sound, having the ability to reflect on what we're grateful for can help us heal in the hardest of times. There has been numerous studies on the positive impact gratitude has on people who have experienced trauma. It's like what I mentioned in the earlier segment. Be grateful that you have learned from your trauma and pain. So by practicing gratitude, we can then look at everything we've been through and have grown and become a better person from it. It's a win-win. So however you walk into this new year, do it by loving yourself and practicing gratitude. By regularly practicing the gratitude, it's a very special way to improve both your mental and physical health. Whatever gratitude looks like to you, taking a little time to think about what you're grateful for every day could make a big difference to your life in this new year to come. I want to thank you all for tuning in to Get Rooted Radio. If you missed any part of today's episode or want to listen again, go to getrootedradio.com for the podcast. And don't forget to tune in the first and third Monday of each month at 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central, and 2 p.m. Pacific, right here on Transformation Talk Radio. And before I sign off, remember to ask yourself, am I living a rooted life? Am I thriving, not just surviving? Am I living a life that brings me joy and then I can practice gratitude? Or are we just settling? If the answer is no, that you're not living a rooted life, take time to think about what you need to do and take action to make that answer a yes. One way to take action is to set up your free Empower Hour call with me. No charge, no obligations. Go to getrootedradio.com to find out how I can help you take that action. And if you're ready to live, love, and let go, join me for my signature 12-week group coaching series, The Rooted Life. This series will assist you in achieving your goals and moving forward by letting go of the things that no longer serve you, learning to love yourself and others fully, and living life to the fullest. Go to getrootedradio.com to sign up for the series and schedule your free Empower Hour. I want to wish you all the very happiest of New Year's, and I hope you have an amazing day, and I'm looking forward to the next time on Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills. Living it up, loving it up, letting it go. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to Get Rooted Radio with Erica Gifford Mills, living it up, loving it up, and letting it go. Visit getrootedradio.com if you've missed any part of this hit show, and tune in on transformationtalkradio.com to live fearlessly in your more and powerfully rooted in your unlimited yes. For more information and to work with Erica directly, visit getrootedradio.com. That's getrootedradio.com, and get ready to live it up, love it up, and let it go.